Be spontaneous. It's okay to do something just because you have a good feeling about it. Imagine where you'd be if you took every opportunity life gave you. Never miss a chance to reconnect with someone and go somewhere new. If you're me, that person is a pretty girl you met in Bali, Indonesia, and she lives in one of the most iconic cities of the world. A week before I head to Europe, why not? Maddie was an LA local, and she showed me all over the place she called home. Not all the touristy places you've probably seen before, but the spots only a local would know. We drove up the 1 to San Francisco, where I visited and introduced her to a family member we stayed with of mine, Stacy. I remember trying to explain that Maddie wasn't a complete stranger. Not long ago, you kinda could say that she was. When it was time for her to drive home to LA and for me to fly to Europe, it felt like heartbreak. A fairy tale week had come to an end, and I had genuine doubts if I'd ever see this person again. Traveling to Europe took a really long time, and I was exhausted, trapped with my own thoughts. Happy because it happened, but sad because it was over. I knew Maddie was really special to me, and I knew that she was all I would think about. Feeling emotional this early on into my trip is something that I couldn't have expected. But I had to look forward and enjoy myself. Life was about as far as it could be from bad. I bought a European train pass with unlimited travel days for 3 months. And I wasn't going to be alone. Not yet. These are the Wilsons and friends. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yes.
You good?
Got the wind knocked out of me.
Look at that. That is so good.
I can toss you beer. I'm gonna do that.
When the Wilsons left, I remember feeling scared. I was all alone now. No Malachi even. Just me. I had this constant fear of loneliness, so I quickly built connections. Keenan had studied abroad in Vienna, and I was able to connect with some of his friends. Isa and Chrissy, thank you for showing me around this beautiful city. Keenan also hooked me up with a free place to stay, with a guy named Jeff. He was an absolute legend. In the midst of overthinking, trying really hard not to feel homesick, alone, I was actually really set up in Vienna. What a day. In contrast to my whole mentality, I was really opening up to my alone time, enjoying it. You could sit in a coffee shop here for hours, and no one would even think anything or come to bother you. Just simply people watching had become one of my favorite things to do. One day doing so, I stumbled across a major protest. Just observing a foreign nation practice democracy fascinated me. This look never gets old. Yes, Vienna was comfortable, but this whole travel thing was about getting out of my comfort zone. It was time to visit a place where I knew nobody and had no connections. No free place to stay, which meant hostel life. We meet again. I wanted to try and meet people, but wasn't able to build up the courage to go up to someone and talk to them. It didn't matter though. I was having a blast just walking, all by myself. It just felt so surreal to be so independent. I had nowhere to be. I was 18, exploring the beautiful city of Salzburg, Austria. The following morning, since I knew I was so close to the German border, I took a day trip to a cute little village called Berchtesgaden. I went through border patrol. A police officer looked at my passport for approximately a millisecond, and then I hopped off the train into Germany. This is pretty cool. Solo traveling made it so that nothing I did had to have an in-depth decision-making process. If I had an idea and wanted to do something, I just did it. In fact, if I ever wanted to just do nothing at all, I could do nothing at all. But in case you hadn't figured it out by now, that wasn't really my thing. The next morning, I hopped on a train to Prague. I heard they had cheap beer, and unlike in ridiculous America, where I could buy a gun but not a beer, I was of age. Ironically, as soon as I had stopped trying so hard to meet people, I had already made a brand new group of friends. Jorrit from Holland, Hassan from Australia, and Stasi and Kevin were both from the United States, like me.
Be prepared for this, and you have to behave like this. You said, we people, finito, go. I said, good, super, you know? Because they don't want people who just sit. They could close these bars, you know? And or the beer would be so expensive like in your country, you know? Because it, or is it, you cannot get...
After a day of exploring the city together, we were quick to hit up the Prague nightlife. Let it be clear that I don't have a single regret for the memories I made and people I met in Prague. However, I definitely paid some consequences. In Prague, what I thought was just a really bad hangover turned into just being actually sick. I needed to get out of big hostel dorms. Unexpectedly, I was in Vienna again. And huge thanks to Jeff, who welcomed me back with open arms.
This is what happens when you're sick and you're traveling.
It's been 2 days, and I'm still sick, and I've barely left this bed, and it's disappointing because it's just like all these cool cities like Budapest and Bratislava and Zagreb are all just waiting for me, and I don't know if I'm going to make it to all of them now.
I talked on the phone with Maddie a lot. It was the only way to kill time. I also met up with an old friend. It was a serious silver lining. Living up to my motto of never missing a chance to reconnect with someone, I reached out to David, whom I met on top of Roy's Peak in Wanaka, New Zealand, just a couple months prior. We talked, and he taught me a lot of things I'd never thought about before. First of all, how we were like basically strangers. But that's what made an interaction like this so unique. Since we were strangers, we had no history or predefined context or even mutual friends. It's like our truest self was able to emerge. I was vulnerable with David, sort of like how I was vulnerable with Maddie. And David reminded me of something that I truly believed in. If you've got nothing more than just a good feeling about something, go for it. Follow your heart. Maddie proved she was just like that. A week from now, she was spontaneously visiting me in Croatia. I couldn't wait.
One of my least favorite things is figuring out what platform you're on when you're in like the middle of a country like Slovakia. It's like way more difficult than it should be.
Or like when you're not 100% sure if you're on the right train or not. For a solid 10 minutes, I looked out the window, having no idea if I was on the right train. I went to go ask for some help, and as a result, made new friends. I honestly would have loved to party with my newfound group of friends, but I still wasn't feeling great. Sadly, I never got to see that much of Budapest because when I got there, I went straight to bed. And the next day was a really, really special day. I had a date.
Hey!
If you want to, I can take a picture of you too. Not less.
It kicks me.
is good. I was falling in love with Slovenia. It was a tiny little country, and we had a rental car to explore it. That's just about all we did. Traveling with Maddie, I felt at peace. That peace was about to be disrupted, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Time just felt so precious together, because it was. I guess I'll see you soon, my friend. I took a train from Ljubljana to Trieste, Italy, where I'd spend an hour there, and then take another 6-hour train ride all the way to Verona. I was alone again, but for some reason couldn't find the courage I had just a couple weeks ago. I felt really lonely.
Just a reminder to myself that it's easy to look back and romanticize what I've done, and I'm so glad I'm doing this, but there are extreme highs where you feel like life is insane and how could these amazing things be happening? Look where I am across the world. But with those extreme highs, there are extreme lows where I feel so stressed out to my stomach and nerves and just sort of want to be home and be with somebody, but I'm not. I'm all alone. Across the world, completely responsible for everything that I have to do. Like there's no catching a break.
There was an irony in traveling to the city, home of Romeo and Juliet, after life had seemingly stripped a really special person away from me.
Giro metà senza te. Io so ben che tu lo sai, perché aiuto non mi dai, e se presto non lo fai, sai che dir tu mi farai. Tu non fai per me, Giro metà, tu non fai per me, tu non fai per me, Giro metà, tu non fai.
Down is all I see. The pain of theirs feet on the place. And I believe, you know that I could use somebody. You know that I could use somebody. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't really enjoy my travels through Italy and France because I wasn't traveling right. I only spent a day in each city. It was a lot of time sitting on the train and not much time meeting people or exploring. I made a friend, a fellow photographer, when I was in Nice. It was the first step of reminding me what this was all about. Lucky for me, there were more friends to come. These friends are just extra special. Days were spent exploring the city. Truthfully, Barcelona was absolutely beautiful. From the moment we got there, we had made a massive group of friends from all over the world. Too many amazing people to count. And the nights, well, the nights were spent doing, you know. Malachi and Berger were like my savior. They sparked my thrill of travel that was never gone, just missing. The three of us were about to explore the Iberian Peninsula and never look back. You two are beautiful.
Thank you.
Ava was another friend from home, working abroad in Madrid and exploring Europe as well. Just another wonderful person to reconnect with overseas. On that trend, we met up with more friends. Ithiar, who's an exchange student at my high school and lives in Spain. Melanie, who was a childhood friend of Ava's and now Malachi's girlfriend at home. After a brief hello with multiple friends, it was time for us to explore the rest of Spain. This country's truly astonishing. Playing pickup basketball in now our fourth continent.
Hamina, mina, waka waka, hamina, mina, hamina, mina. It's time for Africa.
By camel, thank you to best, what is that? Spagnola, adesso te lasci stare. Por favor, perdona, si dà la
The date was May 20th. I can't say everything wasn't great. It was. We were in Portugal now. I was making friends, getting outside, overall just having an awesome time. But I was starting to feel something internally. I'd never felt this before. I knew the lifestyle I was living was over soon, and for the first time, I could see the end of the tunnel, and the real world was waiting for me. It was weird because I was pretty pumped to go home and see friends and family, but I didn't want to face the reality that came after that. I felt like I was savoring the last bite of my favorite dessert, wishing that sweetness could just last a little bit longer. Standing on the edge of uncertainty, scared for the next step because the unknown ahead felt both thrilling and frightening. And off to Stockholm, the final location. Berger had gone home, but Malachi and I met up with Reed. We stayed with his family member, Nick. For days we'd relax at his house right on the Baltic Sea, enjoying a good cold water plunge as well. Sitting on the plane, as I took off, it was a really weird feeling. It was like being suspended between two worlds. One filled with my cherished memories and experiences, the other, familiar comforts of home. More than anything, I was just reminiscing. Everything. The liminal phase. A state of transition between one stage and the next. Often between major stages in one's life or during a rite of passage. It is an in-between space, sometimes uncomfortable, yet full of learning. It is the space on the verge of something new. Somewhere on the edge of sleeping and waking, waiting and becoming, between what was and what will be. Was this era over for me? That's the thing. If there's anything I've realized, life itself is a liminal phase. Full of constant, beautiful change. And you just have to embrace it. From Indonesia to California to Europe to now my home, you're no longer just the pretty girl I met in Bali and spontaneously went to visit. You are the best thing that's come out of all of this.